Welcome to video lecture series in sociology. Today we are going to discuss from your textbook Social Change and Development in India, chapter 3, titled as The Story of Indian Democracy. This chapter is about introduction of democracy in India, about Constituent Assembly, its central concerns, and the history of making of constitution and the Panchayati Raj system. Today we will discuss about the political parties, pressure groups, and their role in democratic politics. So far we have seen that democracy is a form of government that is of the people, by the people, and for the people. The Constitution of India has ensured justice, liberty and equality to all, irrespective of their caste, class or any other socio-cultural affiliation. But the true spirit of democracy cannot be realized in societies where there are divisions and inequalities. In representative democracies, citizens cannot directly take part in the political process. But without citizen action, democracy will weaken. The right of individuals to associate freely and to organize themselves as a group is fundamental to a democracy. This participation comes through people's association, in which individuals can organize themselves freely. There are different groups with contending interest who seek to make their voices heard and draw the attention of government to their grievances. There are various ways and forms of association, both formal and informal. In this chapter, we will discuss about the role of political parties and pressure or interest groups in democracies. Let us start by understanding what do we mean by political parties and pressure groups. A political party is an organized group of citizens who profess to share the same political views and who, by acting as a political unit, try to control the government. A political party is oriented towards achieving legitimate control of government through an electoral process. They are established with the aim of achieving governmental power to pursue specific programs and goals. Political parties recruit, nominate and campaign to elect public officials. They draw up policy programs for the government if they are in the majority. They offer criticisms and alternative policies if they are in opposition. They mobilize support for common policies among different interest groups. Political parties also educate the masses about public issues and provide structure and rules for political debate. Political parties are based on certain understanding of society and how it should be structured. In some political systems, ideology may be an important factor in recruiting and motivating party members. In others, economic interest or social outlook may be more important than ideological commitment. Let us discuss some of the functions of political parties. Political parties contest elections and try to get the majority to form government, as the party that gets absolute majority forms the government. In case they do not get absolute majority, they can form government through coalitions. As you know, it has happened in India a couple of times in past. The other parties which do not get majority form the opposition. One of the important functions of the opposition is to keep a check on the ruling party from becoming absolutist in nature. Political parties raise various issues of national, local or global concern, and they serve as a link between people and the government. They sensitize people politically. Masses form their opinion about the image and potential of the concerned parties on the basis of the issues raised by them. Another way to represent people's interest is through pressure groups. What are pressure groups? Pressure groups are also called as interest groups. A pressure group is an organized group that does not put up candidates for election, but seeks to influence government's policy or legislation. In other words, it is a body possessing both formal structure and common interest which attempts to influence government at the national, local or international level without formally participating in election process to become part of the representative bodies. Pressure groups can also be described as interest groups, lobby groups or protest groups. These are organizations of people who believe in the same cause and come together to protect or advance a particular shared interest. They hold particular views and wish to influence some aspect of society, because in any case a group is more effective as compared to any individual. However, while parties have policies for many issues and usually wish to form a government, Groups are essentially sectional and wish to influence government only on specific issues and policies. Pressure groups like political parties may be mass campaigning bodies. They can criticize government and its policies, but they have the responsibility to base their criticisms on facts. Pressure groups have the right to protest and can make their views known through media. They are required to inform the local authorities and the police when they protest. Their protest and meetings should be peaceful. Pressure groups use different mediums to carry out protests like internet, social networking sites, media campaigns on TV, radio, newspaper, pamphlets, lobbying, public interest litigations and demonstrations. Through these methods, the aim of the pressure group is to influence the people who actually have the power to make decisions. Pressure groups do not look for power of political office for themselves, but they try to influence the decisions made by those who are in power. Pressure groups provide a means of popular participation in national and local politics in between two elections. They are sometimes able to gather sufficient support to force government to amend or even scrap a legislation. The question is that do pressure groups actually contribute towards a healthy democracy? Some people say yes, they do, because pressure groups articulate interests. They represent wide sections of society. They provide a safety wall or an outlet to mitigate grievances of people. They help to disperse power downwards and help to keep checks on government. They are mechanisms to scrutinize functioning of the government, identifying maladministration and mismanagement. However, there are people who argue that pressure groups may not be helpful because they say pressure groups are often not representative of their members. The freedom to organize and influence is exploited by the rich and powerful in society. The influence is applied informally and secretly to achieve some hidden purpose of a dominant few. In such a case, by combining pressure group tactics into government policy making processes, a kind of corporatism emerges. Moreover, pressure groups are essentially sectional. They hold a partial point of view rather than objective or neutral view that is in the interest of the country as a whole. Nevertheless, pressure groups are a vital part of a healthy democracy. Indeed, the sustained and rapid expansion of pressure group activities is often heralded as a sign of growing, indirect yet powerful involvement of thousands of people in the political process. Pressure groups push new issues onto public agenda. Many groups play an important role in bringing changes in public policy such as environmental groups or consumer protection groups. They watch how laws are being administered. They encourage a decentralization of power within the political system. They act as a check and balance on the executive power of government and monitor implementations of programs. There are various types of pressure groups such as economic, social or citizens interest groups. Any of such group can be further classified into different subgroups, such as an economic group can be a business group, an organized labor group, agricultural group or a professional association. For instance, industrialist form associations such as Federation of Indian Chambers and Commerce (FICCI) popularly known as, and Association of Chambers of Commerce (ASSOCHAM). Shetkari Sangathan is an agricultural union of farmers. There are many other interest groups based on tribal issues, women issues or environmental issues. Workers also form trade unions such as Indian Trade Union Congress or the Center for Indian Trade Unions. Trade unions aim to help its members with issues pertaining to wages, working conditions, safety at the workplace, solving dispute with the management, equal rights for women workers, financial services such as loans or any other welfare benefit. But there are some functional problems with pressure groups, such as political parties somehow try to influence the functioning of pressure groups, where directly or indirectly they align their interest with each other. In such a case, the pressure group becomes less effective. Moreover, with change in the political equation at any level, they can also change their loyalties. For example, pressure groups such as trade union representing interest of the working class in India has lacked basic organizational structure and competent functionaries. As a result, they have been ineffective in articulating interest of millions of people constituting working class in India. Although both political parties and pressure groups are important for effective functioning of democracies, but they are not the same. What are the differences between political parties and interest groups? Political parties form government and contest elections, whereas pressure groups is civil society acting behind the political party. Pressure groups use both conventional and non-conventional means to pressurize executive and legislature to achieve its aims, whereas political parties work in coordination with executive, legislative and judiciary and use only constitutional means to execute its duties and functions. Pressure groups come into existence for specific interest and they may dissolve after the demand gets fulfilled or goal is achieved, whereas political parties represent more than a single agenda. They are recognized by the Election Commission. Unlike pressure groups, they do not represent interest of certain groups or sections of society or have a small term objective. Political parties act directly. They are constitutionally or legally eligible to frame policies and take decisions regarding the national concerns. But the pressure groups influence indirectly to pressurize government to get their demands fulfilled. That may even pertain to a small group or community. It would be interesting if you can explore about political parties and pressure groups, identify their name, their levels and the ideologies they put forward. The tendency of pressure group to resort to coercion to secure the solution of a socio-political problem in streets could be regarded as a serious threat to democratic setup. They sometimes even resort to radical and violent methods that are unconstitutional in nature. They try to press their demands through strikes, agitations, lockouts and demonstrations. You may ask a question that whether all interest groups are comparable in terms of their capacities, interest, intensity and access. You can ask, can an illiterate peasant or illiterate worker make his case to the government as coherently and convincingly as an industrialist? But neither the industrialist nor the peasant or the worker represent their case as individuals. They present their cases through unions, associations or groups. The capacity of a pressure group is determined by leadership, organizational abilities, access to media, economic power base and their mobilization technique. It is quite obvious that all groups do not have the same access or the equal amount of ability or capacity to pressurize the government. The social differences of a given society get reflected in the abilities of a pressure group. Thus, it is argued that the concept of pressure groups underestimates the power that dominant social groups have in society like caste, class or gender. In a democratic system, the interests of different groups are also represented by political parties who take up the issues concerning people. When certain groups feel that their interests are not being taken up by one, they may move to form another alternative parties. You might have come across division of political parties at national level, state level or local level. Sometimes they also form pressure groups or lobby with government. Despite such a limitation, pressure groups are an important component of a healthy democratic setup. Pressure groups are a link between the state and the citizen and promote interest and welfare of all the people. Through the process of bargaining, negotiation and consultation with pressure groups, a democracy becomes more representative, efficient and vibrant. To conclude, let us summarize what we discussed in this chapter. In this chapter, we have attempted to learn about the story of democracy in India. We began our discussion by discussing features and types of democracy. We discussed the core values of Indian democracy and how founders of modern India attempted to ensure social, economic, political justice and equality to all. This chapter also brought in the issue of democracy at the grassroots level, which we discussed in the form of Panchayati Raj systems in India. We discussed about the structure of Panchayati Raj system as a three-tier model of local self-governance. And finally, we discussed about the issue of representation and participation of people in politics through political parties and pressure groups, their significance and their role in the modern democracies, how political parties and pressure groups represent interest of diverse sections of society. So, this is in sum the story of democracy in India. You can enjoy reading this chapter. Thank you.